Welcome to Palpal GK. In this video, we are taking up Doklam Stand-off, which is a topic of international relations and right now a burning issue between India, Bhutan and China. Although there have been previous frictions between the two countries, China and India in the past, but this time it has resulted in a severe situation in the Sikkim sector of India-China boundary. It started with the road building by China in the Doklam region of the tri-junction between India, Bhutan and China, and quickly it turned into the biggest military standoff between China and India in the recent years. We will move into the details of this topic, but before that, let's have a look at some of the background facts. Let's have a look at India-China boundary. India and China, they together share the boundary of around 3,500 kilometers. And it's roughly divided into western sector, central sector and eastern sector. The border states of India with China are Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. The dispute over the land between the two countries is going on since 1962 and it's mainly attributed to the British colonial legacy as well as the contrasting understanding of the maps. The disputed area is shown in red in the map. In the north, the region of Aksai Chin. This is under Chinese occupation since 1962 and here is the line of actual control between India and China. Then here in Pakistan occupied Kashmir also, some area has been ceded by Pakistan to China in 1963. In the middle sector also, China stakes a claim of around 10,000 square kilometers of area. Then in the eastern sector also, China claims around 90,000 square kilometers of area in Arunachal Pradesh and they call it South Tibet. And here lies the Tawang region, which was also in news recently for the visit of Dalai Lama, which was opposed by China. Then here lies the McMahon line, which India recognizes as its boundary with China. In 1914, there was a Shimla conference which was supposed to be between British, China and Tibet, but China was absent here and under Sir Henry McMahon, this line was negotiated as the boundary between India and Tibet. Then 1950, when China occupied Tibet, then this officially became the boundary between India and China. But China has never accepted the McMahon line as the boundary between the two nations. In 1962, they claimed Arunachal Pradesh when the war between India and China broke out. Then in 1986, India accorded full statehood to Arunachal Pradesh, which was objected by China, claiming it to be a part of Greater Tibet. The present crisis has occurred in the Sikkim sector of Indo-China border, which happens to be a tri-junction between India, Bhutan and China. Before we go into the details of Doklam Stand-off, which is also known as Sikkim Stand-off, let's have a look at the history of dispute between India and China in the Sikkim sector of the border. Sikkim was a British protectorate from 1886 until 1947 when India got independence. In 1950, a treaty was signed between India and Sikkim, which ratified the status of Sikkim as Indian protectorate under the monarchy of Chogyal. In October 1967, the Chinese army infiltrated into the Kingdom of Sikkim, a free monarchical state, which was also India's protectorate. In response, Indian army retaliated and pushed back the Chinese army beyond the borders. By the end of the war, China has suffered more loss before backing off the Sikkim sector. India not only rescued the state of Sikkim from Chinese aggression, but in 1975, it also merged Sikkim as a state in the Indian Union. China refused to acknowledge this accession of Sikkim to India, and there were regular instances when people from Sikkim were being denied visa to China. This situation improved only in 1993 when the then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao visited China. And then in 2003, China has implicitly recognized that Sikkim has joined India. And this was also because of economic considerations, so that the trade between Tibet and Sikkim area could be opened. So there has been a history of disputes between the two countries. in the 200-kilometer Indo-China border in the Sikkim sector. The recent confrontation is because of China's adamancy to build infrastructure till the last mile, and this often results in the complaints of incursions in the bordering nations. Let's look at the series of events which has led to the present standoff situation. The incident took place in the Doklam Tri-Junction area. So, this is somewhere the Doklam Tri-Junction between Sikkim in India, Tibet in China and Bhutan. So, this is the Tri-Junction between the borders of the three countries, the point where the borders of the three countries met. And here lies the Doklam Plateau. It is said that China is trying to build a road from Doklam Plateau till Doklam. Doklam is also known as Doklam in Bhutanese and Donglang region in Chinese. India has earlier objected to the road that China was building towards Bhutan. And in the mid-June 2017, China said that India has stopped the China's road building in this region. Actually, China is having border disputes with Bhutan also. China claims that its boundary with Bhutan is somewhere here as shown by the red line, whereas the actual boundary of Bhutan, as is supported by India also, is shown by the black line here. So when China says that it is building road in the Doklam Plateau and towards Doklam, it thinks that it's building it within its territory. And the tri-junction point is also disputed according to the Chinese viewpoint. They believe that the border lies somewhere south of the actual point. And so they think that they are building the road within their territory. But this is a disputed area, and that's why India has accused China of constructing road in the disputed territory towards Doklam Plateau. The same objection was raised by the Royal Bhutanese Army also. Now Bhutan does not have any kind of diplomatic relations with China, and India holds the protection rights of Bhutan through India-Bhutan Friendship Treaty of 1949. So here India cannot allow this road to be built in the disputed territory of Bhutan. Both India and Bhutan believes that Doklam is the Bhutanese territory, but China is contesting it. The Chinese claim that they were building the road within their territory, and so in response, they have destroyed temporary Indian bunkers in the region. The crisis escalated and it came into public domain when China has stopped and sent back a group of pilgrims who were traveling to Kailash Mansarovar in Tibet through Nathula route. So somewhere here lies the Nathula route or the Nathula Pass in Sikkim between India and China. And this pass lies at over 4,300 meters above the sea level, and it was closed since 1962 India-China war. And this pass was open for the first time after that period in 2006 for trade purpose. And we can see in the map there is another pass, Jelepla, which also lies in the Sikkim and opens in the China. Now in the current standoff, China has closed the Nathula border post between India and China, and thus it has tried to send a strong message to India. Then there was war of words between the two nations. China said that India should not forget its defeat in the hands of China in 1962, and in response India said that we are not the same as we were in 1962. China said that we are also not the same. Then in the meantime, China has released a map to support its claim over the disputed area, and this has further worsened the ongoing standoff. And now China is threatening India for a war if it does not pulls back. On the other hand, India is not going to compromise on this issue by any chance, because this is not just about the issue of disputed area, but it's also a very strategically important issue for India. We'll see next how. And so India is not going to pull back. So the situation has led to a real standoff between the two military mights of Asia. Also, in this context, India has underlined to China that in 2012, the two governments have reached an agreement on tri-junction boundary between India, China and any third party, that in case of tri-junction boundary points, the third party will also be consulted while finalizing the boundary, and any attempt therefore to unilaterally determine the tri-junction point is in violation of this understanding. In the current standoff, China has reacted aggressively, and it is claimed that they have deployed They're advanced submarines in the Indian Ocean region, which are the most advanced and largest warships of China. The Indian Navy is also keeping a close watch on these Chinese submarines entering in our area through our very own multi-band communication satellite known as GSAT 7 or Rukmani. These communication satellites are the first military communication satellites developed by ISRO in 2013. So the current military standoff has worsened over the days. Now in July 26, our National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is scheduled to visit China for a meeting of NSAs from BRICS. And it's just hope that the tension between India and China could be resolved by this meeting. Now let's analyze the significance of Sikkim Standoff or Doklam Standoff. This area known as Chumbi Valley. This is strategically very important both for India and China. It's a valley in Tibet in the Yadong country, and it is in this valley that the Nathula Pass and Jelepla Pass both opens up. This Doklam Plateau here, it overlooks the Chumbi Valley. Chumbi Valley is not just a disputed territory, but it has a huge strategic significance both for India and China. This valley is very close to the Siliguri corridor. It's hardly 50 kilometers from this Siliguri corridor, which is also known as Chicken Neck. And this is very crucial as it connects the seven northeast states of the India with the rest of the country. So from India's perspective, this region, this disputed region, it provides a buffer to the sensitive narrow stretch of land known as Siliguri corridor for India. So it's very important for India to safeguard this region, and for that this buffer region is very important. China is also very well aware of this fact, and that's why it wants to have the control over the Doklam Plateau, which in case of any future military conflict will give it an advantage over India as it can easily block the Siliguri corridor here. That's why Chinese have been planning to expand their rail connectivity in the Chumbi Valley. And also China has been taking advantage of Bhutan's inability to counter them by repeatedly making incursions in their border area and widening the Chumbi Valley, which is a concern to India. There has been rounds of talk between Bhutan and China to settle the boundary disputes, and China has even offered Bhutan that if they give them away the Doklam Valley, then China would give up its claim over the other areas of Bhutanese boundary. So this is basically Chinese old tactics of starting claiming a territory and then start of setting with another territory. Bhutan is strategically located between India and China, and Bhutan looks up to India to be its security guarantor. So in the present situation, India has no other alternative but to stand firm up to Chinese pressure tactics so that India does not let down Bhutan, and also India has to keep a control over its key area of Siliguri corridor for security reasons. So that was all for today's session. I hope you have liked it. For more videos, please subscribe to my channel Palpal GK, and you can also like us at Facebook and visit our website. Have a very nice day. Thank you very much.